Good evening, Steel City. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. Tonight's episode 49 from the Black and Gold Paraphernalia podcast room. And so was the night before the AFC North rivals, Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens, battle it out for the AFC North Division title. I will have on the Yinzer Report tonight a very special guest, Mike Pack, from IE Sports Radio renowned show, Mike Whines About DMV Sports. He is the Maryland sportscaster for IE Sports Radio and takes care of all Baltimore and Washington sports. We will toast the AFC North. We will talk about this rivalry. We will give you our predictions on this game. Steel City, do not miss this episode. It will be a classic with my friend Mike Pack. Steel City and the Yinzer Report welcomes you. Let's go. Penn State has its season continued tomorrow with a college playoff game versus SMU at Happy Valley, Beaver Stadium, Whiteout Stadium, and frigid temperatures. I'll preview this game. Hashtag we are. West Virginia plays its bowl game versus Memphis with the new coach, Rich Rodriguez, who was not on the sidelines, and the same results as West Virginia comes up short and loses in the Frisco Bowl. Pittsburgh Penguins, hey, don't look down, have moved up to the 4th Metro Division and a point behind the last playoff spot. Gleason is back from injury, so is Brian Rush. It's given the Pens the spark they needed to be very competitive in Pittsburgh. Let's go, Pens. I will start the show off with our tremendous sponsors, Planet Jerky, premium beef jerky, the jerky that's on another planet. Seal the deal, wax deals, wax fans, you bring the deal, we'll bring the deal. And IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports and why we are doing this on the air. Steel City, Pittsburgh, come join me on my 49th episode, 28th live holiday football edition. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is Ralph Calise, your host for the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sports. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be my holiday football edition with the holidays around the corner. Christmas is coming up. New Year's is coming up. And hopefully everybody out there is going to have a great holiday. And we have a special guest in a little bit on the show. We're going to talk about the Steelers and Ravens. He's from the Washington-Baltimore show. It's Mike Pat. His name is Mike Pat. He does the show on IE Sports Radio, Let's Whine About DMV Sports. And we're going to have some fun with a little toast. He'll explain what the toast is all about from his show, and we'll talk about Steelers-Ravens. I just want to say welcome aboard to our new sponsor, and let's give them a shout-out. We're going to shout out to our new sponsor, Vital Apparel. If you go use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. So if you're out there and you like to work out, this is the place to go to get the clothes. Vital Apparel, welcome aboard to IE Sports Radio. We all look forward to working with you. And we will try our best to get you out there. Just a couple of things. Of course, if you want to contact the show on X Twitter, it's at YinzerReport_IE. And like I said, I am Ralph Calise. And if you have any comments or concerns about the show, you can catch up with me at KaliseR786 on X Twitter. All right. So I'm going to get into the Penn State first before we get into the Steelers because I have the guests coming on shortly. So Penn State is playing tomorrow in the college playoff game, and they are playing SMU. So Penn State, as we all know, they had lost the championship there to Oregon for the Big Ten. So they come in tomorrow, and the way I looked this up, it was Penn State sees the game developing into a full-scale brawl. Penn State center Nick Dawkins says SMU is a good team prepared to go the distance. They're definitely going to bring it. It's do or die college football time. Win or go home. it's going to be very important to be ready to play for 4 quarters. Nick Dawkins, that sounds like words pertaining to a brawl. Quarterback Drew Allen for Penn State said Monday he was returning to Penn State for the 2025 season as backup quarterback. Drew Polera left the team. He entered the transfer portal, so he's going to be gone. So Drew Allen announced that he's coming back for 2025, which I think was a good move for him. He said, for me personally, it was a good decision. That's always how I've been operating, and I came to the conclusion that I felt like it was best to perform here in the future. And like I said, in my opinion, great move by Aller. Now focusing on his future and tomorrow's game, look for Aller to really unleash star tight end Tyler Warren, something SMU has not defended this season, and running back duo of Nick Singleton and Natron Allen will be getting their carries in the game as well. Ball security for sure will be a key to the game, and these two guys do not fumble. SMU, of course, will try to scheme ways on how to stop Carter, Singleton, and Warren. Don't forget, Penn State has a Defensive Player of the Year, and the coach for that's Abdul Carter. The coach for SMU says of Carter, there's a reason he's top 5, top 10 pick in the draft coming up. He's an all-around player with a great motor, plays the game the right way. Oddly enough, this will be the third game the teams play, and I have a feeling it's going to be a real good game. So that's at 12 o'clock tomorrow. That'll start your day off for football for Pittsburgh. Because don't forget the Steelers are playing the Ravens, as we're going to really get into in a little bit. So that's Penn State. They'll be on at 12 p.m. tomorrow. So that'll be the first college football game. And the winner of that game goes to play the 3rd seed. And that's Boise State. Penn State also has got the home field advantage, which is a key, and quarterback Drew Aller has all the stats to hopefully prove a win here for Penn State. He's 12-2 at home. He has a 67.5% completion percentage with a 188.4 passing yards per game, 23 TDs, and only 3 INTs and 7 rush touchdowns. This is both SMU and Penn State's first ever college football playoff game. SMU, no doubt, will shoot for a playoff state meaning game versus Penn State, as preseason projections again had SMU finishing 7th in its first season in the ACC. Playing football to the 11th ranked team in the nation, this will be some weather conditions to deal with. Low 20s and a whiteout. Of course, the stadium they'll all have white on. And it'll be hard to deal with Penn State and Happy Valley. 2 paths for both teams, very different to this game. Penn State, of course, viewed as a playoff team from the outset of the season. The Mustangs took the hard route and edged out Alabama for the final spot. Penn State will have to defend the dynamic duo of Kevin Jennings, the quarterback, and running back Brashard Smith to gain the victory. So that is the outlook for the Penn State SMU game, like I said, and that'll be at 12 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll track that game next week when we come back. All right, West Virginia played in the Frisco Bowl against Memphis, number 25 Memphis, and they came up short again, 42-37. It was a high-scoring game. And after naming Rich Rodriguez head coach, there was no different result for West Virginia. West Virginia scored on consecutive possessions, 4 TDs before one more in the final minute after Memphis missed a 50-yard field goal, but the Mountaineers' final push ended on an interception, and Memphis coach Ryan Silverfield, now 4-0 in bowl games the Memphis Tigers have played, sat at the podium and was savoring his final few minutes about coaching senior quarterback Seth Hegan. Speaking of quarterbacks, West Virginia's own Garrett Green was 29 of 40, passing for 328 yards, 2 TD passes, also ran for 95 yards and a TD West Virginia played 5 days after Rich Rodriguez was rehired for a second stint as head coach at his alma mater, 17 years after he had left. While he was at the game while offensive coordinator Chad Scott served as the interim coach. So West Virginia is done, and that's the end of their season. And let's move on as we're getting closer to our guest coming up. Let's talk about the Steelers' last game. That was at Philly. As you see, I wrote up there, Steelers lose to Philly, 1965. They have not won a game in Philadelphia since 1965. So the Steelers are in that heavy part of that schedule now where they play Philly, they play Baltimore tomorrow, and then they play Christmas Day versus the Chiefs. So the final score was 27-13 Eagles. George Pickens did not play in the game. T.J. Watt went out with an injury. Their safety, their starting safety, Deshaun Elliott, did not play, and these are all injuries that have led up to this week versus Baltimore. But in this game, like I said, 1965 was the last win by the Steelers in Philly. The Steelers held the ball for only 5 minutes and 50 seconds in the second half versus the Eagles on Sunday. Perspective on this, there have been 403 drives by teams this season that have taken longer than that amounted to only 11 offensive plays after halftime. So they only had 11 plays after halftime. That's how bad, that's how good the Eagles were with the ball. They controlled the ball. The Eagles' final drive of the game was 21 plays, 88 yards, and a 10-minute and 29-second time of possession. So they won the game just running the clock out, getting first downs, going for it on fourth down in 10 minutes and 29 seconds. The Steelers, before they'd given the ball up, they had punted on a 4th and 7. And I guess Mike Tomlin's thinking of it was that he was going to get the ball back with a little less than 10 minutes left. But that did not happen. Maybe he should have went for it there. They had the ball for 10 minutes, 29 seconds time of possession, and had the Eagles take a knee in victory formation. The Steelers, of course, after that, never got the ball back. Of course, this game is long over, but you have to think with 2 personal foul calls, really significant ones, in my opinion, the Steelers got screwed. They could have changed the outcome. Maybe, maybe not. I think so, but there was a scuffle. I don't know if anybody saw the game. There was a scuffle where the Eagle players threw multiple punches, and it was on a Najee Harris run to put the Steelers on the 4-yard line of the Eagles. And both personal fouls went versus the Steelers as they wound up settling for a field goal. That was the other problem, too. In the first quarter, they had 2 turnovers inside Eagles territory, and they only came away with 3 points. The second penalty that was called was a Jalen Collin of the Eagles head slap to Connor Hayward immediately after the snap of a punt. The officials again ruled it was after the punt, and you could actually see in the video when the punt was not kicked. The penalty had already happened. So they did say it was first down Steelers, and they went to commercial, and when they came back, they said that no, the punt was already in the air, and they gave the Eagles the ball at their own 3-yard line. So a total missed call by the refs on both those plays. They should have had the ball at the Eagles 31 with a first down, getting back to the first penalty, screwing. It was later explained by ref Al Neck, as you could see, Alan Eck, as in yuck, as in being official. No punches were observed on the field since the flags were down. It gave New York an opportunity to revisit the play, and there was no video evidence of punches being thrown by the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what to say. The league now with this penalties being reviewed by New York, they just seem to never get anything right. How could you not see any punches being thrown by the Eagles on that play? It was just crazy. The Steelers missed the season high 20 tackles on Sunday versus the Eagles. It nearly doubled their prior season's worst of 11 missed tackles done twice this year. And going back, since that stat is being charted, this is a historic showing by Steelers defense, 20 missed tackles in one game. So that was the Steeler game in Philly. Like I said, the offense was they were not in sync at all. They really missed George Pickens. You could see it because they had a breakdown of the first couple of drives, and they showed the wide receiver routes, and Philly had it covered, but the routes they were nothing. They were not something you run in a schoolyard when you're playing with little kids. They didn't know how to get open. They didn't know how to get open. And George Pickens is a big loss for the Steelers. I mean, many people don't realize it, but he is a star receiver. Not that he just opens it up. He opens it up for the other wide receivers. And as you can see, it's a big loss. They've lost 2 games without him. They won 1 without him, so they're like 1-2 without him. And he's not playing again this week versus Baltimore in this crucial game for the division title. So Russell Wilson is his points average per game is less without George Pickens, and it's at least 12 to 14 points less. So you could see there was a fumble by Najee Harris. It was actually 2013 Philly, and you could actually say the Steelers were in the game, and they were driving, and I think they were like on the 30-yard line of Philly, and there was a pitch to Najee Harris. He fumbled the ball, and that was in the second one of the drives. They had the ball in the second half, and to me, that was the game right there because they were in the game at 2013, and they wound up giving the game up after that. So Steelers are now 10-4. They're still in first place, but as we're going to be talking about coming up, this is the game of the year for them. And we'll get into that shortly with our guest, Mike Pat, coming up shortly. Let's check the chat. And we have Danny Man is in the chat. Yinzer report. Danny Man might have to check out the Vital. Yes, Danny, check it out. We just got them as a sponsor, and I know you are a big workout guy. Maybe you'll find something to your liking there. And he also wrote, I read that the Steelers and Eagles combined to one team yes, they were called the Steagles way back when. That is correct. Thanks for looking that up. All right, so I'm going to take a break, and I'm waiting for our special guest to pop in here. So let me do a couple of commercials here, a couple of our other shows here. And when we get back, we're going to have our guest, and we're going to talk Steelers Ravens and have our holiday toast and all that good stuff. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back. This is Ralph Calise at the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, and I'm very excited to announce our guest. Here he is, Mr. Mike Pat. Mike, thanks for joining me. Happy holidays. I'll start off with Let's Go Steelers, but I'm sure you got a couple of Let's Go Ravens in you.
Just a few, not too many.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining me, and just start out and just let the people know on the Yinzer Report about your show and the toast we're going to do for the holiday on how you go about your show in case they haven't watched.
Yeah, for sure. So I host Let's Wine About DMV Sports, our DMV Sports show here on IE Sports Radio. I cover anything DC sports, anything Maryland, anything Virginia. Right. I include Baltimore despite the local regional debate. Ralph, you're close in Pittsburgh. You might have heard the debate about whether Baltimore is considered the DMV, but, I loop it in. So, because I like Baltimore sports. I need some sports to be happy about. I'm miserable as a DC fan.
Yes. All right. So I asked you on today. We're going to talk about the Steelers and Ravens, but I would like to do you have a part of your show that you do at the beginning where you you talk about certain drinks, wines, and you do you talk about them and how they work out. So I just wanted to have my fans that are out there listening, and I just wanted to do a holiday toast. I have my drink here. I have some white sangria that my beautiful wife actually went to the Italian restaurant up the block and got for me for the show. So I thank her for doing that. And they do have a real good sangria. So, Mike, this is part of your show. You want to do the toast? You can do the toast. I'll let you do the toast. Go ahead.
Sure. So we'll do a toast to a classic AFC North rivalry, the best rivalry in the NFL, hands down. I will toast to a good game tomorrow with some hard hits and some good football.
Beautiful. And as I take my sip of sangria out of my Steeler glass, let's hope we have a great game. And it is AFC North football, as I always say, is the best division in football.
100%. There's no division like it.
Delicious. And happy holidays out there to everybody.
Happy holidays to everyone.
All right. So that was the holiday toast. And like Mike said, we holiday toasted the football and the AFC North. All right. So let's get into the Steelers and Ravens. Like as we said, it's a rivalry. I'll always call it a rivalry. I saw some things on TV today that they're saying, how could it be a rivalry if the Steelers have won 8 of the last 9 games, or the Ravens, have won the games that they won? It's a rivalry, no matter how you look at it, no matter who wins. To me, it's a rivalry. It's always been, even when the AFC Central was around, and like Cleveland left and became Baltimore, or whatever that situation was. Yeah. They were always there was always a battle, whether the teams were good or the teams were bad, and it just happens to be that the AFC North, like we said, is the best division in football. They had the most wins at any division last year, and I just want to get your thoughts on the Baltimore perspective of the rivalry, because in Pittsburgh we call it hate. We hate the Ravens. It's like a rivalry, and it's a hate game.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Baltimore side of that?
Well, there's definitely some emotion there, but I think it's a respectful hate. Like we hate each other because our teams have been good for so long, and they've always had these tough, hard knock it out, drag it out fights. I know in recent years, it's been rather lopsided to your Steelers. There's been a couple. Somebody broke down the history, and there's been a couple of weird things that have happened in a couple of years. A couple of those games were Week 18 games where our seedings were already decided. So, neither of us really played like our hearts out in those games. So, those are always kind of 50-50. Couple years Lamar Jackson was hurt, things like that. So, yeah, there's been some stuff that's leaned it towards the Steelers in recent years. But, I mean, look, and I think you and I have discussed it in like our radio group chats in the past. We hate each other, but we respect each other at the same time. And even the teams and players do that. I saw an interview with Mike Tomlin earlier this year before they were playing the Commanders, where I think somebody compared Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson, and Mike Tomlin went, whoa. Daniels is good, but Mr. Jackson's a 2-time MVP. Let's not jump the gun here.
And there's the respect, like you said. Mike Tomlin, you will never hear him call Lamar Jackson. It's always Mr. Jackson. You can go back to any interview that he's ever done, or any pregame thing that he's done. He always pertains to Lamar Jackson as Mr. Jackson. And as you just said, great point. It's hatred, but it's more respect hatred than anything. All right, yeah. So that's a good way to look at it for the rivalry, if you want to call it that. But all right, so tomorrow's game. As we know, the Steelers are 10-4, and the Ravens are 9-5. I wrote down the Steelers are 3-1 in the division. Baltimore's 2-2, and the conference records: Pittsburgh is 7-2, and Baltimore is 5-4. The Steelers tomorrow, as you know, if they win, take the division title. My thoughts are, if they don't win and Baltimore does, this is a prediction for later on, but I'll just get it out there now. I feel that the Ravens can win out, and they will win the division, because the Steelers both teams are in this brutal part of their schedule, but the Steelers more because they played Philly last week. They got beat. They're playing you guys this week. They got the Chiefs in 3 days, 4 days on Christmas. And it's 11 days, 3 games. So they're the 3rd seed as of now for the playoffs. The Ravens are 5th, so they're right there. This game is that's why I said at the beginning. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show. I said that this game is for the division title. So, what are your thoughts on the as far as the schedule making? With this because the Ravens are playing Christmas Day too, and as far as this game coming up for the division title in your guys' eyes, the Ravens' eyes.
Well, I don't know who the hell made this schedule over at the NFL. This is absolutely ridiculous. And, let's loop in the Chiefs and the Texans into this as well. Why, they said, hey, we're going to take these 4 teams, and we're going to, in weeks 14, 15, and 16, make their lives a living hell, or 15, 16, 17, whatever. Right. I forget exactly how the weeks break down, but it's just absurd at this point in the season to just decide, oh, okay, let's go. These guys are already beat to crap. Let's go ahead and throw 3 games in 11 days. The Ravens have the ever slightest advantage over the other 3 in that they had a super late bye. Their bye was just not this past weekend, but the week before. Yes. So, they luckily got that extra week of rest in there, which is showing on the injury report. Our injury report for this time of year entering these final 3 games is not bad at all. You get some teams that have 12, 13, 14 guys. Well, the Steelers are getting beat up with some pretty bad injuries too right now.
We're going to get into that when we talk about the game.
So, I mean, whoever made the schedule at the end, why do we have to play? Let's be real, Ralph. Christmas is a basketball holiday. The NBA's had it for years. Why do we have to cram NFL games in the middle of the week? I don't get it. I don't get it.
You know what, Mike? You said that, and my son said that to me exactly yesterday. We were together, and he said that. He goes, "Isn't basketball on Christmas Day thing? What the hell are we playing a football game on Christmas Day?" He said the same exact thing. But
look, football's got Thanksgiving, basketball's got Christmas, baseball's got the 4th of July. Look, everybody's got their holidays. Let's not intermingle with it. There's a formula here.
Perfectly put, Mike. Perfectly put. You know what? I drink to that, Mike. Very good. Very good. All right. So, so that's basically the Steelers have it all out there for them tomorrow. If they win, they win the division, they'll get their home game, and then whatever happens after that, probably happens. But just a couple of things I wrote down leading up to this game. Of course, the Ravens win, knots up the division with 2 games each to play, with the schedule for sure in the Ravens' favor, despite all this 11 days or whatever. They have the Texans on Christmas at Texans, and then they're home versus the Browns, whereas we just said the Steelers are home versus the Chiefs and home versus the Bengals. Now, getting into the game, these are the stats came out like you were saying before. Each of the last 9 games have been decided by 7 points or less. The Steelers have won 7 of the last 8 versus the Ravens. And as we just said, as Mr. Jackson, as Tomlin calls Lamar Jackson, respectfully, he is 1-4 in the career versus the Steelers. And I looked this up today. He's never beat the Steelers at home. I found that hard to believe. I mean, he missed a couple of games playing.
Well, here's the weird statistical thing about that. Sorry to interrupt. Somebody broke this down. So Lamar Jackson came into the league in 2018, right?
Yes.
This is only somehow, this is incredible. This is only the 2nd home game.
Yes.
He's played against the Steelers.
I wrote it down here. He played 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023, and of course this year he played the game in Pittsburgh. None in 2022. I guess that was the year he was injured.
Yep. Yeah, he was injured 2022. He missed one of another year was missed to injury. Last year, the home game was Week 18. Like I said, they were already the 1 seed. He didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play.
His rookie year was still Flacco. His rookie year.
Right.
And then there was one other year. I think it was another Week 18 game. And you're right. There's only 1 game. He lost it. So, he still has that to overcome. But, just weird statistical anomalies with Lamar Jackson and the Steelers.
It's insane. And it's insane. And how they say how he plays versus the Steelers. These are his stats versus the Steelers. It's his worst in his career. It's just amazing. A 2-time MVP has 1 win versus the Steelers when he's won 2 MVPs. You got to say to yourself, how's that possible with this guy?
But he's also only won 1 playoff game, if I have to be self-critical.
But we're talking about the Steelers-Ravens. Playoffs are another thing.
Right.
But his stats was 16 to 20. 16, this was his completion percentage versus the Steelers is 48.5. These are the games he played in. His average is 207 yards. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know what the Steelers have on them. I mean, I guess they get up to play versus him. Well, Mike Tomlin has something on him, but I did hear Lamar Jackson say this week in his press conference, and he said it very mildly and very calmly, I got the situation on how to beat this team. So that scared me. I will say that scared me. So what are you hearing from Lamar Jackson about playing this game Sunday out there in your DMV land?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been lots of and especially in recent years, there's been lots of chirping about Lamar. Oh, he can't win in the playoffs. Oh, he can't beat the Steelers. Oh, he's not really the MVP. It's Josh Allen, which I mean, that's a fair argument. You could debate that all day long.
You can.
But I think he's hearing a lot of chirping. And one thing I will say about Lamar is that he keeps in the media, he keeps his composure about as well as any team, about as well as any player in the league, about as well as any quarterback. He keeps it together. He actually kind of reminds me a little bit, if I were to give a respect here, to kind of the way Russell Wilson handles himself in the media. Very calm, very collected. He lets the chatter motivate him, but he doesn't let it get to him at the same time. So, he's a guy, he's been playing out of his mind this year. I think to date, his worst game was that game against the Steelers.
It was. Yes, I wrote it down. That was his worst game.
What was it, about a month and a half ago, I think they played, something like that?
The 17th of November, yes.
17th of November, so a month and a half ago. So he's motivated. He's hungry. He knows the importance of this game. He plays well in big games, in big regular season games. He shows up. Now, what situation he has under control, I haven't heard the specifics of that plan, but
they got something up their sleeve, and
they got something up their sleeve. Maybe it's just as simple as running Derrick Henry a little bit harder. I don't know, but
I look back. Well, we'll get into it now because we'll talk about the game. So I wrote down the last game, like you were just saying, and it said Jackson in the NFL top-ranked offense at the time failed to stop AFC North. There's that word again, Mike. Rival Steelers again, and Steelers won with 6 field goals. Chris Boswell kicked 6 field goals. That the Steelers have won 3 games this year where they haven't scored a touchdown offensively. They've scored a defensive touchdown, but that's insane. And your kicker Tucker missed 2 field goals that game.
Oh,
and you could just see the look on his face. He was like, down. But the main reason why I think the Ravens lost that game was that they had a slow start at the beginning. They had a lot of penalties. They had the 2 turnovers in the first half.
Yep.
And it was a season low, of course, for the points for the Ravens and yards. They only had 329 total yards. And they had 12 penalties, 3 turnovers, and the 3 miscues led to all Boswell field goals. And like we said, Justin Tucker misses 2 field goals. Okay, I don't see any of that script happening tomorrow.
Right.
That will not happen. Tomorrow's going to be the game where the Steelers and Ravens go out there and play a 30-27 game or something like that. It'll still be less. The winner will still be less by 7 points, but it's going to be one of those high-scoring games. And I guess the weather. How's the weather out there? What's the weather looking like for tomorrow out there?
It's cold, but not impossible.
Okay, all right. There's no snow or rain or anything, right?
No snow, no rain, nothing weird like that in the forecast. It has rained earlier in the week, but it should be pretty okay come game time tomorrow.
Okay, so now the Steelers are coming into this game tomorrow. They have no George Pickens. He was ruled out yesterday. TJ Watt practiced this week. He's going to play. I don't know if they're going to limit him or if he's just going to come in on 3rd downs, but he's going to give it a go. He's going to play. And then today they announced another big part of the defense, the starting safety opposite of Minka Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, who played for the Ravens. He's out. He's out.
Oh boy.
So
that's pretty big news.
DeMonte Casey back there with Minka Fitzpatrick. Now, I was just talking about the Steelers before you came on about George Pickens. George Pickens is a big loss for the Steelers because our wide receivers ain't scaring nobody right now after George Pickens. And George Pickens is the guy that basically opened up everything for the other guys. So Russell Wilson, I don't know, they're going to have to come up with a plan on, I don't know, maybe they're going to have to use their tight end because, like I was saying before, how Lamar Jackson said about the situation that he's come up with. I've went back and I've watched the last 2 Raven games, and they haven't used a secret weapon, and he's not really a secret weapon because he's really good. Mark Andrews is a very good tight end for Baltimore, and he does not throw the ball to him at all when they play the Steelers. And I know the last game, Derrick Henry didn't run much, but I don't know. I think if Baltimore looked at the tape last week, I think they can find a way, like sorry, not Russell Wilson, like Mr. Jackson is saying, he has something situational that he came up with to beat the Steelers this time. So that's how I look at the game. I'll give you my prediction after you give your preview of the game, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And it's interesting, you bring up the loss of George Pickens. The Ravens have a very weird situation going on with their receiving room. I don't know if you heard the news, but Deontay Johnson, former Steeler, who they acquired before the trade deadline, he actually got waived today.
Yeah.
So he's not on the team anymore. They also have Nelson Aguilar is going to be out with a concussion. So they're really down to 3 receivers, and I think there's another receiver out as well. I'm forgetting, like the 4th or 5th receiver. I'm forgetting his name. So kind of to your point about utilizing Mark Andrews. They're almost kind of getting forced into a situation where he's going to have to be one of the main guys, because I think Rashad Bateman, who's the number 2 receiver, he's a little banged up. He might not be able to go full force. A lot of people are saying in the media, they're like, hey, this might be the game where we start to see, those 2 tight end sets with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, the very talented number 2 tight end, who shows up big in some games. And the big old fullback, Patrick Rickard, lining him up in front of Derrick Henry, try to throw that out there and see if they can pound for pound muscle and match up with that. So I think, and I did just actually, it's funny, while you were talking, I did a quick check of the weather. It's not going to rain or snow, but it is going to be windy in Baltimore. So I think the stars are aligning to a very run heavy, almost, and not to be the antithesis to your statement, but it almost might be lending itself to maybe even a lower scoring game, maybe with the wind and the colder weather, lending itself towards more run heavy offenses. And, the note on George Pickens is, yes, that is a big blow to the Steelers offense. But if you look at the Steelers, they don't beat you by being explosive and scoring 40, 45 points a game. No. They play solid fundamental football. They play mistake-free football, i.e. they're one of the best teams in the league at turnover differential and penalty differential. So they don't let themselves beat themselves. Correct. They play solid, consistent, good football, which is what Tomlin has always taught his players, and it turns good teams on paper into great teams on the field. And that's what Pittsburgh is they're a really good team on paper, but they're a great team on the field. So Pittsburgh does not have a ton of weapons to beat you in a shootout, but you're going to still have to beat them. Like, solid, pound for pound. They're not going to make the mistakes. And if you make the mistakes, like you mentioned earlier with the Ravens in the previous game, with the missed field goals, with the penalties, with the turnovers, they're going to win the game. So the key for me for Baltimore is don't beat yourself.
Right.
You line these rosters up. The Ravens, on paper, they can beat this. They can beat any team in the league, I think.
Well, yeah, without a
Lamar
doubt,
Jackson, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, all these weapons. The defense with Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey, playmakers at every level on both sides of the ball. They can hang with any team in the league. They just cannot beat themselves, and they've done it a lot, 5 times to be exact this year. So that's my key to this game. You're at home, you have the advantage, you're more well-rested, you're healthier than the Steelers. Don't beat yourselves, and you can win this game. If I had to give a score prediction off the top of my head, like I said, with the wind, with the cold weather, with both teams having some of their big weapons out of the game, I'm thinking a low-scoring affair. I think it's going to be a defense affair. Hopefully, Justin Tucker makes his field goals, because there's some field goals in this prediction. I'm going 20-17 Ravens.
Okay, there you go. That's the less than 7-point win either way for the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. It's always going to be that way.
Like I said, I got really scared when I heard Lamar Jackson saying he's figured out the situational part of it, and he's got something ready for the Steelers. And I don't know. After last week's game, I can't see the Steelers get. They're going to be in the game like they were. They were in the game last week. It was 2013, and it was a fumble. And like you said, there can't be any key turnovers in this game. And I just don't like their chances. I don't like the Steelers' chances. I'm going to say like 27-20 Baltimore. I'm actually going to pick against them in this game.
Oh, wow.
Which they really need.
Are you reverse jinxing it, Ralph?
No, honestly. Mike, I don't know if you ever see me do a show with my son. I have my 50th show coming up next week, and I'm going to have him on. I'm going to have him on as a guest, and I'm just going to let him go. If you just listen, to the way he's been talking the past couple of weeks, it's just he's insane. But I don't feel it after last week, and like I said, I hate to pick against them, but because that's how bad I hate the Ravens, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to say 27-20 Baltimore. It'll be a close game. And I just think Lamar Jackson's going to find a way to finally beat them.
Yeah. And in all fairness to you, man, if I go back to the years and I look at some past games and the matchups, I probably, if I was being honest with myself, would have picked the Steelers over the Ravens in some of them. Because, you got to play the matchups. You got to look at who's healthy, who's less healthy, who's at home, who's on the road, who's hot, who's not. Right.
It's a road game. They got three major guys out, and I just don't see them overcoming. Like you said, Baltimore's they're hot right now. They had the late bye. I mean, they blew the Giants out. They played really well, and we're coming off a real crappy looking game, which gives you no hope.
Yeah.
What week? Yeah. They got to go play Kansas City in 4 days. They can lose out, Mike. They can lose out. They're gonna. They clinch the playoff spot.
That Cincinnati game at the end of the season. Cincinnati. I mean, Joe Burrow. My goodness.
We're going.
If Cincinnati had a winning record, Joe Burrow would be like number one in the MVP race. He's been absurd this year.
Well, that's the problem here. The AFC North is upside down. It was supposed to be Baltimore. Well, when the experts, the way they say it, was supposed to be Baltimore, right. Cincinnati all year battling out for this, not Baltimore and the Steelers. But,
thankfully we got to Cincinnati early when they were a bit of a mess, and we managed to steal 2 against them. So I'm glad that happened, and I don't want to talk about that stinker against the Browns earlier in the year. I'm still mad about that game.
They beat us too in Cleveland in the snow, and that's killing us right now. But like I was saying, if the Steelers they have it all in front of them. They win tomorrow, they win the division, they get a home game.
Yep.
They lose tomorrow, they can lose out, and they can go into possibly the playoffs as maybe the last seed.
You
got the Chargers, you got Denver.
It could flip on it that quickly, for sure.
That's
absolutely,
man.
And wouldn't it be funny if the stars aligned and if the Ravens win and they win the division, the Steelers go to Baltimore again in the playoffs?
And that's the possibility. Even if the Steelers win the division,
wild?
It could still happen.
Right.
And there's always that saying out there where the toughest thing to do is beat somebody 3 times in one season. The same team.
Right.
That's it. I'm saying if the Steelers win tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you kind of want us to win tomorrow, because then when you play us in the playoffs, you don't have to worry about the 3 wins in a season thing.
Mike, this year for me for the Steelers was make the playoffs and win a game. That was my thing for the Steelers this year. But now that they're 10-4 and they have this chance, I feel sky's the limit right now. I think if they can win the division, they're definitely going to win a home game and then go from there. Because
for sure.
What I'm saying?
And I mean, look, you got 4 or 5 teams that could take it in the AFC this year. I mean, everybody likes to love on Kansas City and their 13-1 record and all that jazz. They're not unbeatable. We were a shoe size away from beating them in the first week. If Isaiah Likely had size 10 shoes and not size 11, we would have won that game.
Oh yeah. You're right. The first game of the season.
Yeah, the very first game of the season.
Yeah.
So close. So close. So if we make the playoffs because we could still, blow it and, botch it at the end too here. If we get the Steelers, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that matchup in the Steelers. I'm ready for that. Let me bring it on.
I mean, then there's the wackiest of situations when the season is over is if we're tied. Like if the Steelers and Ravens are tied, then we got to go through we got to go through tiebreakers.
Oh yeah, and the tiebreakers, people don't see it because it doesn't happen very often. They get real funky at the bottom of that. The thing you're going into point differential in common games when you get down to the bottom of that list.
I was just gonna say, like I said, I was with my son yesterday. We were in the car. We were on a long drive, and we did it. We went into point differential and the games, and it's just insane. It's just insane.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
Well, sure,
Mike, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much. I want to wish
Thank you for having me on. It's been a blast.
You and your family and your show. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see what happens. You have a show tomorrow?
Yes, sir. I have a show, and it'll be after the game, so you'll get my instant reactions of how of whatever happens. I'll either be very happy or very sad, one of the two.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck. Good luck with your Ravens. And
good luck to your Steelers.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. It's far from over. It's far from even if the Ravens win tomorrow, it's far from over. It's still another month
absolutely.
to figure out what's going on. All right, Mike, thanks for joining me, and you have a good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You as well.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. All right, so that was Mike Pat of Let's Wine DMV Sports. Great piece there. I had fun with that. That was really good. The toast was awesome, and Mike is a great guy, and he's a mainstay here at the IE Sports Radio. He's one of the guys I look up to since I've only been here. Just a note, next week will be the Yinzer Report's 50th show. I've actually done 50. It'll be my 50th show. So tune in for that next week. And I just have something real quick to do on the Penguins, who really started playing well after being a doormat in the Metro there. But they've won their last two games. They won in overtime. So right now they're 15, 14, and 5, and they have 35 points in the NHL right now. They're fourth in the Metro, and they came back and they gained 1 point behind a playoff spot. So I'm going to do this real quick because I'm coming up to the time. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot, fourth in the Metro, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games, and two OT wins in a row. One versus Los Angeles and Pittsburgh 3-2, and last night versus Nashville at Nashville 5-4. They got a big test tomorrow night. They're playing the Devils in New Jersey. And last night, Brian Rust continued his hot streak, scoring twice. And the OT game-winning goal in a back-and-forth game versus Nashville, and the Pens won it 5-4 in overtime. Crosby snapped his 10-game goal scoring, netting a goal. He also had 3 assists. Wow, imagine that, Crosby not scoring in 10 games. Brian Rust, getting back to Brian Rust, he's really led the Penguins back to some respectability here. He's on fire. He's leading the Penguin surge from the bottom of the Metro now to 1 point out of the playoffs. He had a 4-point game last night, 2 goals, 2 assists. This is his second 4-point game, and now has 17 points, 9 goals, 8 assists on 37 shots in his last 11 games. And the Penguins, like I said, are in that just on the cusp of that last playoff spot in the Metro. And the goalie, Christian Jarry, he's been shaking off his early season consistency. He's now 6-1-1 in his last 8 starts, and the Pens are 7-2-1 in their last 10 games, and Jarry has started 10 of those games. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for today. I want to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm going to try to have a show next Friday. It is a day before my birthday. It is my 50th episode, and I am going to try to get my son to come on and join me next week. And we'll see what happens with the Steelers this weekend. And like Mike Pat said, it's going to be a good game, and we'll go from there. All right, just real quick, left with the chat. Larry B was in the chat earlier. Sorry I missed you, Larry. He said loving this. I guess he was talking about the Mike Pat and myself on the air. And Danny, man, great show. Thank you, Danny. Thanks for all you do for me. And Mary, yes, the show was great. And Raymond, man, great show, Ralph. And Larry B again, great show. Thank you, Larry. Thanks for giving me the time slot here. All right, guys, so that's the end of the Yinzer Report for today. I will be back next week. Don't forget, it's going to be show number 50 of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Everybody out there, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.